The most chilling Bigfoot encounters always happen when you least expect them. From a giant, long-armed creature caught on camera crossing a frozen Canadian river, to a newly surfaced, highly compelling 1970s video showing a massive hominid walking in broad daylight, the evidence is mounting. Are these just elaborate hoaxes, or are we looking at genuine proof of a hidden species? The Calgary family encounter was filmed in January 2014 near Calgary, Alberta. A father was walking with his young children along a frozen riverbank on a bright winter afternoon. Sunlight reflected off the ice, and each breath showed in the cold air. The temperature was close to freezing. Part of the river was covered in ice, but dark waters still moved slowly underneath. Snow cracked under their feet as the afternoon light began to fade, stretching long shadows from the bare trees across the far bank. The family had walked this route before. Nothing about the day felt strange. It seemed like an ordinary winter walk, the kind that would normally end quietly and be forgotten soon after.
Look. That's not human. It's not a human. The face is here at first.
The father was casually looking across the river while also keeping an eye on his children. At first, he noticed something low near the tree line on the opposite bank. He thought it might be a deer crouching near the brush. He began recording almost automatically, expecting to capture a simple wildlife clip. But the video shows something different. Across the river, a reddish-brown figure is crouched behind a fallen tree. It is partly hidden, but it appears aware that the family has noticed it. The father zooms in with an older camera, pushing the image as far as the lens can go. As the shape becomes clearer, it looks large, wide across the shoulders, and covered in hair that does not match the color of a normal deer or bear in the area. Then it rises. That is the moment that made the clip difficult to dismiss. One arm hangs unusually low, reaching far past where a human arm normally would. As the figure turns away, the arm swings with a long, heavy motion. It then walks back into the tree line at a slow, steady pace, disappearing into the brush without rushing. According to the uploader, the father and his children had seen something standing on two legs after it had crouched down as they approached. The recording began when the father realized the shape across the river was not something he could easily explain. The audio adds to the tension. The father's breathing becomes faster, and the family's reaction sounds sudden and unplanned. Since the footage was recorded in 2014, it also came from a time before today's AI video tools existed. What stands out most is the figure's size, the length of its arms, and the calm way it leaves the scene. The family does not appear to be acting. They simply watch as it disappears. After the figure is gone, nothing else happens. The river keeps moving, the tree line stays still, and whatever crossed their path never comes back out. Whether it was a strange animal, a person, or something harder to explain, the clip leaves one question behind. What did that family really see across the river? A hiker in British Columbia reported an unusual daytime sighting while moving through a remote forested area. According to the witness, they noticed a small figure ahead that appeared to be walking between the trees. Because of its shape and movement, the hiker believed it may have been a possible juvenile Bigfoot. During the encounter, the witness was able to record a short clip. The footage shows the figure moving through the woods for only a brief moment before it disappears deeper into the forest. In this video, we look closely at the sighting, the short recording, and the strange figure that may have been captured on camera. The clip is brief, but the location, movement, and timing make it difficult to ignore. So what did the hiker really see that day in the forest? A hiker exploring a remote part of Alaska reported a strange daytime encounter in a snow-covered forest. According to the witness, they spotted what looked like a small juvenile Sasquatch moving through the trees. Surprised by what they were seeing, the hiker quickly started recording as the figure walked across the snowy ground and passed between the trees. clip only shows the figure for a short time before it moves farther into the wilderness and disappears from view. After the footage was shared online, many viewers began debating what the camera had captured. Some focused on the size and movement of the figure, while others questioned whether it could have been something ordinary seen from a distance. The video is brief, but it leaves one simple question. What was really moving through that snowy Alaskan forest? TikTok creator Mr. Wood Booger shared an eerie clip from a 2024 live stream. Late at night, he and a friend went deep into the woods to make Bigfoot calls. At first, the situation seemed more curious than frightening, but during the live stream, strange noises began coming back from the darkness.
Do the call again. That's us.
See, that sounds like a small
That sounds like a smaller one. That's not the same sound as a while ago. Y'all share this out. This will be your first Bigfoot calling. We've never had them this active.
Not here, but I think we're picking them off. I think it's in their hunting area. They're always going to get snatched up by Sasquatch and get some good Sasquatch love in here. Man.
Listen.
See, that's a bigger one.
That is a different... Oh, God. Listen. This is us.
Smoke too much. I like it.
Oh, listen. Did y'all hear that?
That's two at the same time.
That was two of them at the same time calling back.
Calling Roy, dude.
Do y'all hear that?
I've had them call back to me and stuff before, but I don't usually do this when other people in the woods.
Hell, Roy's there, King. Might as well.
Hey, if
That's not Roy. For the people who think that's Roy,
there's Roy right
there's
there.
Roy right there. I just let y'all know that it is not Roy doing that. Listen, even the dogs behind us are cutting up now.
There's a surprise at the truck, too.
Does everybody hear that?
I think they step in front of the camera so they can watch me do it and see I'm not doing it.
Everybody, now this is us calling. Now watch him. Alright, now listen. Somebody said something like you're getting closer.
It sounds like one's running.
Oh, crap. Do y'all hear the dogs? Even the dogs are cutting up now. Oh, God. No, it's definitely not a coyote.
The two heard unsettling vocal sounds from somewhere in the forest, and neither of them could explain where they were coming from. As the sounds kept echoing through the trees, the mood changed quickly. What began as a simple nighttime Bigfoot call slowly turned into something far more uncomfortable. The clip is short, but the reaction feels real, and the sounds from the woods are hard to ignore. So what was really answering them from the darkness? The lost 1970s recording feels less like a normal clip and more like something that stayed hidden for over 5 decades before anyone outside a small circle ever saw it. The footage is believed to come from the 1970s, though the exact date it was filmed is still unknown. It was finally released to the public on March 28, 2026, and once it appeared, people in the cryptid community immediately began talking about it. The video is rough and grainy. In the frame, the forest looks isolated and thick with old-growth trees, the kind of place where logging roads eventually fade into nowhere. The light in the scene points to late afternoon. The person filming kept the camera surprisingly steady for that time period. The footage was discovered decades after it was recorded, and the filmer's identity has never been officially confirmed. Still, the video itself gives a few clues. The person appears to have been alone. They were using a camera that would have been expensive in the 1970s, and the way the shot is framed suggests they may have already been watching something before the recording started. The lens is already pointed toward a thick patch of brush. Then, after a short pause, the subject steps out. It moves from behind cover and walks straight into open ground. It does not stop, look around, or try to hide. The figure is bent sharply forward. Its arms hang extremely low, swinging far below where human arms normally would. Its neck is hard to see, with the head sitting close to wide, powerful shoulders. The head also looks rounder and more compressed than many typical Bigfoot descriptions. Together, the posture and walk create a shape that would be difficult for a person in a costume to copy. The body does not move like an ordinary person. The hips roll in an unusual way, while the shoulders rotate instead of bouncing. What makes the clip even stranger is how exposed the figure is. Many Sasquatch reports describe something alert and careful, something that avoids people quickly. But this figure crosses open ground in daylight without checking around it. Some investigators believe the area was so remote that it simply did not expect anyone to be nearby. Others think it may have traveled that path so often that it no longer treated it as a risk. Whatever the reason, it walks across the field as if heading somewhere specific, then disappears into the next tree line. The cameraman never says a word. The recording ends on empty grass. Maybe the figure was unaware, distracted, or simply confident in that remote place. But if it was so exposed, why did it never look back? In mid-March, a video started spreading on Facebook and quickly split viewers into two sides. The clip shows a man filming in a remote area after noticing what looked like a small hominid-like figure on a steep hillside. At first, the figure is partly hidden behind a rock, but when it stands up and shows more of its body, the recording begins. The creature appears small, possibly only around 3 to 4 feet tall. Its face is almost completely covered with rough brown hair. Much of its body seems covered as well, but its arms look oddly thin and almost hairless. Its appearance feels less like a modern animal and more like something from an older branch of human history. The footage was not filmed in the United States, which made some researchers look beyond North American cryptid stories. On the Indonesian island of Flores, local people have long told stories about the Abu Gogo, a small hairy being said to stand around 3 to 4 feet tall, with long arms and strange mumbling speech. Those old stories became even more interesting after scientists discovered Homo floresiensis on the same island, an ancient human species that stood close to the same height described in the legends. In the jungles of Sumatra, another creature called the orang pendek is described in similar ways. It is often said to be 3 to 5 feet tall, walking upright, covered in short fur, and unusually strong for its size. For now, there is no clear answer. The video is unusual, the setting fits several regional legends, and the figure is easier to see than many similar clips. But the question remains simple. Did this footage capture a rare unknown creature, or something that only looks that way from a distance? A woman living near Chehalis, British Columbia, sent Kelly from the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch YouTube channel a series of unsettling nighttime recordings. The clips were captured from her property late at night and feature strange vocal sounds echoing through the surrounding forest. The noises were unusual enough to leave her searching for answers and wondering whether they could be connected to possible Bigfoot activity in the area. It could be an animal, something distorted by the forest at night, or something harder to explain. But if these sounds came from the woods around her home, what was making them?
I hope you can hear this, Al. It's cackling. You gotta hear this, Al. I hope you can hear this, Al. It's cackling.
Wes Germer shares a collection of strange nighttime sounds that were sent to him by a listener. Before moving into the full discussion and breakdown of the audio, he plays a short clip first, so viewers can hear the disturbing sounds and see the location where they were recorded. The listener explains that during the spring and summer of 2019, they began hearing an unusual noise coming from their backyard late at night. It usually started around 1 a.m. and continued until 3 or 4 a.m. They never found out what was making it. The audio is brief, but the time, location, and repeated pattern make it difficult to ignore. Was it just a normal animal in the dark, or something they could never clearly identify? Although video clips now dominate most modern Sasquatch debates, footprints were the first kind of evidence that helped bring Bigfoot into public attention. The Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization recently shared a plaster cast that brings that older form of evidence back into focus. During field research, members of the team found a large human-like footprint pressed into the dirt, and they made a cast of it at the location. The toes spread almost 7 inches across, while the heel narrowed to roughly 5.5 inches. The full print measured about 13 to 14 inches long, but the width is the detail that stands out most. Some people may have feet that long, but very few have feet that wide. The investigator filming the discovery placed objects beside the print to show its real size. Once the cast hardened, he carefully worked it out of the ground with a knife and lifted it toward the camera. Even with dirt still stuck to the bottom, the shape of a foot was clearly visible, including what looked like dermal ridges. Those small skin-like patterns matter because they are very hard to fake, especially far from town, where someone would need to plan the hoax carefully ahead of time. Footprint evidence like this has been reported for centuries. Indigenous groups across North America have long described huge human-like tracks found in mud, snow, and along riverbanks. The modern Sasquatch story gained major attention in the 1950s, when logging road crews in the Pacific Northwest began finding enormous tracks around their heavy equipment overnight. Workers would return to job sites and see prints pressed into the ground after they had left for the night. Those reports helped give Bigfoot its modern name: big feet, big tracks, and a bigger mystery. The cast is now kept in the organization's archive as a physical object. It is not just a blurry image or a compressed video file. It can be measured, studied, and handled. It holds the shape of something that moved through the Rocky Mountains and left a mark behind in the soil. As more clips and older evidence continue to appear, the pattern becomes harder to ignore. Maybe this cast is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. But if the print was real, what walked there before the team arrived? The Ontario face begins with a man walking alone through a snow-covered forest in Ontario, Canada. The cold had the heavy stillness of deep Canadian winter. The forest was so quiet that each step through the powder seemed louder than it should have been. Old-growth trees stood close together, their branches bent under weeks of snow. Thin gray light passed through the woods. There was no wind, no birds, and no sound except his movement. He had been walking for a while, focused mostly on the ground beneath him, when he noticed movement where nothing should have moved. Behind a fallen tree covered in snow, a figure was crouched low and partly hidden. But it was not just hiding. It was watching him. Its eyes seemed to find him before he fully understood what he was seeing. He did not run or shout. Instead, he lifted his camera with unsteady hands and began recording. The footage is rushed and shaky. His breathing can be heard, and the frame moves with every step. Still, the camera catches the creature's face more than once. When investigators slowed the video and studied it frame by frame, the details became deeply unsettling. The skin appears dark gray and leathery, like old weathered hide. Long hair falls from the top of its head, but it does not look like the tangled fur often described in Sasquatch reports. Its brow is heavy and pushed forward, while the nose is small and the mouth is thin. The face does not look like the broad, flat, ape-like face many people expect. It seems closer to something older and more human. The eyes are what many viewers focus on most. They appear aware, steady, and almost calculating. Skeptics quickly questioned the clip after it was uploaded. Some said the snowy setting looked staged. Supporters disagreed. They argued that no common costume could easily create that mix of dry skin texture, flowing hair, and a brow that's strong without falling apart once the head turned. The skin especially became a major point of debate. It does not look shiny like costume latex. It looks dry, aged, and naturally wrinkled. Eventually, the recording ends suddenly, with the figure still motionless in the snow. The forest remains quiet, and the face is still visible between the trees. Maybe it was a trick of light, a costume, or something much harder to explain. But if it was only hiding, why did it seem so calm while being watched? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.